Hi, my name is Ellen, and I'm glad to be journeying with you on this path towards Easter. When I was praying with these texts for the fourth Sunday of Lent, I asked myself, through these particular stories that the Church is placing before my eyes this week, how does the Church desire to help me enter the meaning of the season of Lent? What parts of the mystery of Christ is she drawing to my attention? And what details of Christ's mission is she shedding light upon to help me contemplate my Lenten journey? Today, I'd like to share with you some of the fruits of my reflection. The first has to do with the theme of light, of Jesus as the light, as the one who enables us to see. This runs throughout all of the readings for the day. For example, the psalmist sings, "Even though I walk in the dark valley, I fear no evil, for you are at my side." And St. Paul writes to his brothers and sisters in Ephesus, "You were once in darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of the light." And he also says, "Everything exposed by the light becomes visible." And then in John's Gospel, Jesus heals a young blind man. Here in these readings, Jesus is presented as the one who grants us sight, who allows us to see. Jesus says of himself, "I came into the world for judgment, so that they who do not see might see, and those who do see might become blind." Often I think we think of Lent and the fasting, prayer, and good works that the Church recommends during these 40 days as a form of punishment or simply as old-fashioned traditions that no longer have a place in our modern culture. But today's readings propose a deeper meaning of Lent. Could it be that the Church invites us to enter into the spirit of penance, not as a punishment, but in order to help us to see, in order to help us live in the light? I am reminded of my great aunt, who when I was a young child would always remove my glasses when I arrived at her house for a visit, and she'd give them a good clean. I never noticed that they were dirty until she put them back on my face clean, but it was so special when I put them on and everything was so clear. I didn't notice that they were dirty, but I think that Jesus too desires that we see, that we can be free to welcome people and things as they are. And that's what the time of Lent is for, to help us to see. So that we can welcome Jesus as he comes to us in the people he places near us and in the circumstances he allows us to pass through. As the light, God desires that we share in his light. Meditating on these readings, I was also moved by the fact that at this midpoint of Lent, when we may be feeling the grind of our chosen penance, or when others may be beginning to feel a little pride at how well they're doing, the Church puts before our eyes the figures of the young blind man. If you think about it, he doesn't seem to exactly be the poster boy for Lent. He wasn't praying for a healing or following Jesus around the countryside or waiting to touch the hem of Jesus' garment. No, we're told nothing about his family or friends begging Jesus to heal him, as we'll see next week in the story of the raising of Lazarus from the dead. No, the young blind man was simply there on the side of the road when Jesus and his disciples walked by. They seemed to simply run into him while he was begging for money. In the Gospel, we see that the disciples see him on the side of the road and ask Jesus about whose sin caused his blindness, his own or his parents'. In response, Jesus spits on the ground, mixes up a bit of paste, and puts it on this man's eyes. He then instructs him to go wash in the pool of Siloah and return to him. The young man does as he is told, and his blindness is healed. Reading this, I'm reminded of how free is Jesus' love, how mysterious is his preference for you and me. We don't have to do anything to earn his healing and his love. He's just there for us. Similarly, the Church puts before our eyes the figure of David in the reading from the book of Samuel. David is the youngest of Jesse's 8 sons, and when Samuel is asked by God to go and choose a new king for Israel from amongst the sons of Jesse, Jesse presents only the 7 oldest sons to him. Jesse doesn't even consider the youngest one. He doesn't call him home from the work in the fields for this important encounter with Samuel. So impossible was it to imagine that this young son should be chosen for such a special mission. As the story goes, Samuel is presented all the strong and lofty older brothers, but he discerns that none of these are the one chosen by God. So he asks Jesse, are these all of your sons? No, the youngest is out in the fields. Bring him home. It is David, the young one, who is not as strong, good-looking, or wise as his older brothers, who has been chosen as the new king of Israel. How free is God's choice? How much are God's ways beyond our normal ways of calculating? I don't think we need to look far to see how God acts with such freedom to bring healing and light into our own lives. I think of the grace of new and unexpected friendships, the forgiveness of a coworker or friend, or the patience of a loved one when we know that it's us who is really pushing their buttons. God is always at work to heal us, to restore our sight, and to help us grow in freedom. As the psalmist sings of the Good Shepherd in today's readings, you spread a table before me in the sight of all my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Only goodness and kindness follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for years to come. This young King David and the young blind man healed by Jesus might have something to teach us about Lent, something important. The Lenten observance we adopt are not ways to gain or lose God's love. He loves you and has chosen you for a special mission in life, no matter if we succeed or fail this Lent. We can think of Lenten observances or prayers and fasting and charitable works, above all, I think, as our response to the love of God, our response of love to His love for you and me, as the occasions to enter more fully into the mysterious and free love of God for you and me. I pray that this season of Lent can give us the eyes to see the Good Shepherd at work in our lives, the Lord who wants to spread a table for us in the sight of our enemies, and who follows us daily with goodness and kindness, as the psalm says. Also, traditionally, the 4th Sunday of Lent is called Laetare Sunday, or Rejoice Sunday. Why is this? This name is taken from the entrance antiphon that is prayed at the beginning of Mass from Isaiah 66. Rejoice, Jerusalem, and all who love her. Be joyful, all who were in mourning. Exult and be satisfied at her consoling breast. When you go to Mass on this 4th Sunday, pay attention to what you see in the church. Do you notice a change in the color of the priest's vestments? The priests are invited to wear rose today, the change of color being symbolic of the easing up of the Lenten fasts, a moment in these 40 days where we stop and rejoice in the memory of God's love, where we can refocus our sight on the love that is manifested in the death and resurrection that we'll celebrate at the end of our Lenten journey. So with the figures of the young blind man and the young King David accompanying us on this midpoint of Lent, I pray that we too can taste how much God loves us and desires to heal us and bring us into the light and the joy of belonging to Christ and the Church. May you have a blessed Lent.